So let's take a look at this. We have Beast Boss and Squigosaur, Red Warboss, Guild Chop, Mazrali, Scrag Bag, Knob on Smash Squig, Knob on Smash Squig, Warboss is Follow Me Lads, followed by another Warboss, followed by another Warboss. Triple Warbosses. I personally love that. I love Warbosses. And then we got Zod Wartsnagga again, right? So you got another unit. Grots, go out there and get there and, their scout maneuver, run up the board, start touching people. If you don't have commandos, if you have commandos like we see on the other list, you can do it with both. And that could really stop people from stuffing you in your own deployment zone. We have Boyz, and then 3 truck, 3 units of Gretchen on this list as well, 1 unit of Knobs with Power Claws, 2 bricks of Squig Hog Boys, and 1 unit of Storm Boys. So what does that mean? That means these trucks are for Boyz, 10-man unit with the Warboss. Boom. This guy decided, hey, man, the Warboss on his own, cheap enough to throw in a Boyz unit and make that Boyz unit an actual threat. And it's true. You can get them hitting on 2s. Volume is an issue in itself. That Knob becomes kind of reliable in the unit. The Warboss himself is going to be fighting for a while. Overall, I think it's a really fun tech piece. He did get 8th place, as you can see out here, did overall pretty well. And we're going to look at his matchup. So we're going to go through it quickly. I want to make sure I don't spend too much time on the list that I don't know exactly what happened in their games, but it's still fun to look at everything. So his first matchup was Imperial Knights. Still have Canis Rex. He's still great, in my opinion. Knight Castellan, a Paladin. We got Arbingers, Warglaive, 2 Warglaves. So he just bought some big knights. He has the Canis Rex to be more reliable in the damage, everything like that. Overall, orcs do quite well into Knight. At the moment, they got rid of Titanic towering type things. Sorry, their towering keywords were kind of nerf them along the whole way. It did end up helping us because they were one of our hardest matchups. They still can give us issues, but as a whole, when you start playing the competitive level, you know what they're trying to do and you know how to stop them. We do have tools when you're bringing a Beast Boss with Edwab Skill Chopper, Maz Rock, Squig Hog Boy Bricks. You can handle that. His second matchup was Astra Militarum. So Astra Militarum, as well as armies, it's kind of looked over sometimes. It really comes down to how did they build their list. So we'll look at the list real quick. We got Gaunt's Ghost. I don't know if that's the best competitively. If someone knows, let me know. I don't think it is, though. But I know Leontis is. Regimental Engineer, Tank Commander, Ursula Creed. A bit more characters than I would personally like to see on this kind of list. We got Catachan Jungle Fighters, 1 unit of infantry. We have a 3 Manticores. Okay, we're getting the fire right here. 2 Rogue Dorn battle tanks on top of the fact that you already have 2 tank commanders. 1 unit of Scout Sentinels and Lord Inquisitor Drex. She's totally fine as well. I think the one thing this list is missing, cut down on one of those tank commanders, throw in Sentinels, maybe even our engines here, and you would get a bit more efficiency out of this. There's not a lot of good regenning options on that list for that guard match, for that guard player. But he did end up putting up a 20 perfect score on them, and we'll go into his third matchup. So his third matchup with some more demons that are trying to stop themselves from getting shot. So we got Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, Lord of Change, Red Master's Blood Throne. This guy's actually pretty dope if you guys want to look him up at some point. He pretty good fighting. He's kind of like a really killy-coring chariot. 2 units of Nurglings, Plague Bearers, Blood Crushers. Like I said, with Blood Crushers, they are about the equivalent of a Squig Hog Boy unit in many ways. They have a 4-up invuln. They're like 4 wounds instead of 3. They have a guy and then a mount, but the difference is they do mortal wounds on the charge instead of having a bomb. They're pretty reliable for their mortal wounds, but their damage potential isn't as good as I think the mount is doing only 1 damage. The Burning Chariot, followed by 2 Brigands. Okay, so this guy came to play. When you have Be'lakor, Bloodthirster, Lord of Change, and Red Master's Throne, a little bit of kind of stopping with the Nurglings that you can kind of infiltrate and get on people's nerves, and then the Blood Crushers. Blood Crushers actually deep strike as well, so they can come in and get some reliable charges off on you sometimes, and they can hurt considering they do mortal wounds, but he did put up 20 points into that. As we've seen, he does have a good amount of Beastnagga units and such. As we're going to see, and it's been proven throughout the edition and everything that we know of, if we're talking about simplicity and what's going to be good, just straight up stat, point for point in the Orc Index, there's no question that currently most games and matchups will be favored if you're using Squig Hog Boys. Boom. If you're using big bricks of them and you're using the characters with enhancements, I'm aware of that. We're still seeing that, and that's why I wanted to keep showing that, but that's not the only thing being used. As we've seen in the prior, some of the other lists that we've shown and other lists that we'll show here, like the very first list that I can go back to. But still did a great job there, but don't be disheartened if you're not playing with Beastnagga Boys. So his fourth matchup was T-Sun. So let's see if it's anything different. We have Arman on disc, Red Magnus the Red, Exalted Sorcerer, Exalted Sorcerer on disc of Zeech, Exalted Sorcerer on disc of Zeech, Infernal Master. Okay, you don't always see these disc on disc, guys, so maybe you just had the points, need mobility, I'm not sure. Big unit with Warp Flamers, small unit with Warp Flamers, another small unit with Warp Flamers, another small unit with Warp Flamers. Yep, so just a couple more units, actually just one more unit, but still has that one big brick followed by some small units. Zangor Enlightened, and then Rhinos. So he doesn't have the he doesn't have the Mutalised Vortex Beast from we can see. I can see that being an issue overall, in my opinion. But he did end up putting up an okay fight. He was limited to 6 points, max was. But let's look into his one loss. So his one loss was against Fred Atol with Eldar, right? Ooh, Eldar. So we got the Artark Wayleaper, Farseer, Funigan. I actually don't know who this guy is. I have to look him up now. I missed him the first time through. Spearseer, the Yinkarn, the Night Spinner, support weapons, warp spiders, and then Wraith Guard. So interesting. Okay. I want to know what this guy does. Okay. But this is looking, we have Night Spinners now that are being introduced a little bit more. Still have one big unit of warp spiders and then the Wraith Guard. We know as the orc player as a whole, if you see Wraith Guard on the table, yes, they're hard. Yes, they're a problem, but knobs can be used as a tool to try to scalpel out that enemy unit if it becomes a problem. So I'm gonna get rid of some of these lists. And as you can see, he does have the knobs with follow me lads. So possibly they got shot or taken away from this list, or when he jumped in, he just ended up bouncing. That happens too. I would have been a bit surprised if he told me he would have only put up 1 point. I would like to see what the mission is, but we know Eldar are just hard in general. So a great job, but it happens, right? So we have, and then he follows up with another game into Eldar, and he does win this one, which is what the interesting part is, right? So you have Artark Wayleaper, Farseer, Skyrunner, Funigan? Finnegan. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to just call him that. It's now back on the list. I got to know who that guy is. Spearseer, the Incarn, Night Spinner, Shadow Specters, Swooping Hawk, Warp Spiders, another big unit of Wraith Guard, but they have the Wraith Cannons, followed by a Wraith Lord. So he's kind of like a Dreadnought if you guys haven't seen him before. He's totally fine. Interesting to see the Wraith Guard with the cannons. Definitely more in favor of the melee ones. Don't think you really need that on the Eldar list in the way that he was using it. But Max just bounced right back and just demolished them, probably being more familiar with their rules, being gone right into them the game prior. I'm sure he was ready for the shenanigans, and he made his return. Ended up dusting them. So great job. This is the kind of list where you can see knobs being very important as well, because once you have 2 units of Beast Snagga Squighog Boys, you need something with power claws, that additional AP to get out and be reliable. That's also why you probably paid the premium for Follow Me Lads. And just having Boyz with the Warboss means they're going to start winning some skirmishes, putting reliable volume attacks into people, and then Wart Snagga will stop you from getting stuffed in your deployment zone, walk out into the middle of the board maybe. I like to see that more people are using him. He made a comeback. He's starting to be used all over again, right? And that's something we've seen earlier in the edition when we thought Grots were T5. But now that's not the case, and people are still finding a way to use them again. And like I said, it's because people do not want to be stuffed in their own deployment zones. That's really what I'm starting to see from this.